Over the past 3.5 years before I came out to the Philippines, I had plenty of time to evaluate the online dating scene. I went all the way through the various processes that a man goes through when he disappears down that particular rabbit hole, in uncovering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, after a while, once you have eliminated the scammers, the game players, and those only interested in hookups, you realize that there is a small percentage of genuine, sincere Filipinas that really are looking for a serious relationship. If you are a Filipina, for example, living in a remote part of the Philippines, let's say, for example, Bukit and Mindanao, the chances of you seeing a Westerner in your local barangay are slim to none. You've heard about these Westerners that are apparently more loyal, more financially stable, and the only way that you can have access to these is through that magic lantern that you hold in your hand by joining a dating site and putting up your pretty little picture to be feasted on by thousands of Western guys. Now, admittedly, not all of these Western guys will be genuine and sincere or have those kind of intentions either, as the majority are looking to play. But a small percentage are also looking for a serious relationship with a Filipina. Now, what usually happens is that these girls at a young age that are quite impressionable suddenly have access to all of these guys that are inundated with hundreds of messages a day, telling them how beautiful they are, how sexy, and various different offers to make their life, how shall I put this, a little easier. In return for $10, $20, $30 or so through PayPal, a young, sexy, well-toned Filipina will gladly show you her modesty, shall we say. More open-minded, free-willed, enterprise girls of lesser virtue will take advantage of these offers and go shopping on a weekend with a big grin on their faces, while the rest continue their normal daily routine of struggle and hardship, but with their moral code intact. Now, I make no bones about the fact that I've spoken to several hundred, probably closer to 1,000 over my time. Now, at first, it may sound like I'm a serial hunter of this specific species. However, on closer analysis, it shouldn't take long to realize that actually this equates to less than one a day. Although on any given day, it is easy to rattle through 10 or 15 girls or so. Why? Quite simply, because it is a numbers game. Of those 15, let's say 3 will have such a poor internet connection that it's damn near impossible to see them clearly, let alone communicate with them, as you're constantly being disconnected. Now, we're now down to 12. Another 3 may have such poor English that it makes any prospect of a real conversation impossible. I remember on one occasion I called one particular girl, and when I introduced myself, I asked her how she was. The only word that she had to say to me was, "Groom." I then tried to move the conversation along by complimenting her beauty, only to be met a second time with the word, "Grun." A third and final attempt by suggesting to her that it would be nice if we could get to know each other better was also met with the word "Grun," as if I was suddenly going to drop everything, take a flight halfway around the world, beat a path to her door in the middle of Provence, bend down on one knee, ask her to marry me on the strength of that one word alone. We're now down to 9. Moving on, there will be another 3 that have conveniently omitted to tell you in their profile that they have 1 or 2 or 3 kids. And it's only when you video call with them that you can see her breastfeeding one while the other 2 chase the roosters around the living room, as the young single mother proudly shows off all her offspring to you as if you were the actual real father. We're now down to 6. All the remaining 6, 3 of them won't look anything like the photo they posted on their profile. You'll very quickly learn the national pastime is the digital enhancement of their own face photos. There's little to no resemblance of the real person. we're now down to 3. So, of the 3 left, one is so serious about the date to marry situation, the only thing she repeatedly affirms to you in an almost mantra-like fashion is her no sex before marriage policy. For most of us then, we're now down to 2 final competitors as if we're watching an episode of the Squid Game. Unfortunately, one of those final competitors mentions her string of previous Western boyfriends and how they spoiled her rotten with designer items of all kinds and how her new guy must also be as generous. This leaves just one. One pretty girl, next door type with a nice little smile who seems to be easy to chat to. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the contender. You have a 10-minute chat with her, but the time difference means it's getting dark at her end and there's no electricity and her 6 siblings are already tucked up in bed, so she's got to be quiet now. So you agree to continue the conversation another time. So when I say that it's a numbers game, that is exactly what I mean. But believe me when I also say it's exactly the same at their end. So now we've established that we know that even the ones that have made it through to the end go to a pile of potentials for the future. Okay. But in the meantime, these girls continue to be hit every day with hundreds of messages from guys of all nationalities and all ages from around the world. So when these girls wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is turn on their magic lantern and scour upon all the vitamins for the eyes. Scanning down the whole list of messages, it's human nature to select the most aesthetically pleasing for them. Or for them, the most handsome or cute, or of which there are many. Those go straight to their real potential plan. And not only that, they get precedence over the ones that succeeded the day before, who had initial conversations with. Unfortunately, most of them will be forgotten about several days from now, as these girls keep on getting hit day after day with more and more messages from all of these guys around the world, reaffirming how beautiful they are, swelling their ego, fueling their precious little minds. Where you sit there, filled with passion, looking for the next interaction. The harsh reality is that the ones that made it through on your list a day or two ago that you had a great conversation with for almost half an hour, and you're making that initial connection, has now relinquished you to her forgotten about pile, while you sit there fueled with passion for the next interaction. And that is how the game goes here. On very rare occasions, you'll get a good girl and a good guy who will very quickly sift through the pile of nonsense and make a genuine connection, and off they go, walking virtual hand in hand into the sunset. However, in reality, the odds are so heavily stacked against you on both sides, it's almost not worth bothering with in the first place. What I can say here is that from my own experience, through having exposure to Filipinas of all kinds, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you will certainly thicken your skin through going through this process to the point where you become a pro. And if you really do find yourself moving out to the Philippines at some point, you'll be glad that you've had exposure in this way, because it gives you a resilience to the fluttering eyelids of this species and ultimately puts you in control.